Data has a way of leaving clues, and that's especially true when we look at the Calgary real estate market. For example, looking back at the data from 2023 onward, April 2024 had the lowest months of supply at just 0.95. That means if no new homes came to the market, inventory would have been completely gone in under a month. This led to May 2024, when homes were selling in just 19 days on average, much faster than what we've seen throughout all of 2025, where the average has been closer to 35 days. And to top it off, June 2024 recorded the highest benchmark price ever in Calgary at $608,000. So, April had the lowest supply, May saw homes selling overnight, and June gave us the highest prices in history. When you put those clues together, the story becomes clear. The market in spring 2024 was running hot. Now, fast forward to today. The Calgary real estate market has clearly shifted, and to understand where we're at, we need to look back at a few of those earlier cues. In this video, I'm going to break down the overall Calgary market, 3 graphs that reveal deeper insights into how the housing market is performing, and what you need to know if you're buying or selling in November 2025. Now, this was surprising to me. In October, Calgary actually saw a decrease in months of supply compared to September, which moved us from a buyer's market back into a balanced market. That shift happened mainly because new listings went down while sales went up. As we get closer to the end of the year, that's pretty normal. Fewer people tend to list their homes around the holidays, and not many people want to move during Christmas. But if you're a buyer, this time of year can actually be a great opportunity. You'll often find some solid deals before homes get taken off the market in December, especially in row townhomes and apartment-style condos where supply is still relatively high. Now, when we compare October 2024 and October 2025, we're looking at 2 completely different markets, but one under-the-radar stat really stood out to me. First, let's clarify something. There are a few different ways to measure prices in real estate. The 2 I'm looking at here are benchmark price, which reflects the value of the typical home sold in each category, and average price, which is simply the total dollar volume of sales divided by the number of homes sold. So in October 2024, the benchmark price was around $592,500, and the average sale price was about 4.8% higher, around $621,000. Fast forward to October 2025, the benchmark price dropped to $568,000, but the average sale price actually rose to just below $643,000, which is about 13.2% higher. Okay, so that's a lot of numbers, but here's why this matters. That growing gap between benchmark and average price tells a bigger story. It reflects how different property types are performing year over year. Between 2024 and 2025, apartments dropped about 6.9%, row townhomes were down around 5.6%, but detached homes only dipped about 1.3%, and semi-detached homes actually increased nearly 1%. So the overall benchmark price is being pulled down by condos and townhomes. But if you're buying or selling a detached home or semi-detached home, your experience in today's market is going to look a lot different. Long story short, the overall numbers don't always tell the full story. If you're buying or selling, your experience depends on which part of the market you're in. And I might be a little bit biased here, but that's exactly where having a realtor who understands your specific segment really matters. Now, I have a theory about why townhomes aren't moving as fast as they used to, and it's perfectly shown in this first graph. This graph breaks down which price ranges are selling. What stands out right away is that most of the activity is happening between $500,000 and $700,000, and that price range is mostly semi-detached and smaller detached homes. This is where my theory expands. Over the past few years, we've seen a huge wave of both immigration and interprovincial migration. Permanent immigration into Alberta actually peaked in 2024, and my theory is that during the boom, we saw a lot of money pour into Calgary real estate, both from investors targeting newcomers who are likely to rent, and from immigrants themselves who arrived ready to buy. Many of these new immigrants come from different housing cultures. They're often perfectly comfortable living in smaller spaces or homes without backyards. I think that cultural difference helped fuel demand for apartments and townhomes, which drove prices up and led to faster sales during that period. Now, with recent immigration policy changes, we're seeing fewer newcomers arriving from overseas, but interprovincial migration in Alberta is still strong. And people moving here from other provinces usually have a different mindset. They're looking to stretch their dollar, and instead of spending $650,000 on a dog crate condo, they want a house with a yard and a garage. Because migration in Alberta remains steady, semi-detached and detached home prices have stayed relatively stable. especially when compared to apartments and townhomes, which have seen declining demand year over year. So, this asks the question, does my theory hold any weight? Let me know what you think in the comments. My social media feed lately has been filled with people saying that homes have flooded the market, that there's more choice than ever. And honestly, this graph kind of backs that up. It shows how much inventory Calgary had in October 2025, and you can see that levels here are up to where they haven't been since 2019. So on paper, those people aren't wrong. There is a lot of inventory right now. But here's the key piece most people are often leaving out. Calgary's population has also grown by roughly 25% since 2019. So yes, there are more homes on the market, but there are also a lot more potential buyers. There's definitely more choice out there. Don't get me wrong, but some segments, especially detached and semi-detached homes in higher desired neighborhoods, are still feeling the pressure. I always like looking at months of supply by location and product type. This graph gives a clear picture of what's really happening around Calgary. Here's how to read it. The lower red line represents 2.5 months of supply. The upper red line represents 4 months. Anything between 2.5 and 4 is a balanced market. Above 4 is a buyer's market, and below 2.5 means a seller's market. This graph really helps us understand the conditions across the city. For example, detached homes. Everywhere except for the north and northeast are either in a very close to sellers or seller's market. In contrast, apartments across most of Calgary are firmly sitting in buyer's market territory, with the south and east regions sitting a little bit more balanced. In a video later this month, I'm going to break down exactly where buyers still have the most leverage and where sellers have the upper hand. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that one. So to put it simply, Calgary is in a balanced market right now. It really depends on location, price, and product type. Buyers are finding more success in neighborhoods that are expanding quickly, especially in townhomes and condos where supply is still higher. Sellers, on the other hand, are still in a good position if they're moving on from a detached or semi-detached home. But if you're planning to move up from, say, a condo or townhome into a detached or semi-detached, you'll want to be strategic about where you buy and when you sell to really maximize your equity. If this video was helpful, make sure to leave a like. And if you're thinking about buying or selling a home here in Calgary, feel free to reach out. My contact info is in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.